dodge the bullet, nothing's fair in love and war. Both sides suffer great loss. If you reading this, fight for love at all costs. You die coward when you don't follow your heart. Sunshine, it still feel like a rainy day. And I know you feel the same way.
Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Angelic Alchemy, and this is Unmasking Spiritual Deception, Liberation from Witchcraft and Narcissism. This is episode 22, and it's going to be about divine feminine energy and how we are perceived by others, particularly those who are not an energetic match to us and cannot self-reflect. So, without further ado, let's get into it. There's a kind of energy that I embody, which I often hear described in the spiritual community as divine feminine or empress energy. Most of my life, I would have had no idea what that was, and I certainly would not have thought of myself as having those traits and characteristics of a divine feminine. But since I started tapping into my spiritual gifts and have began my journey as an intuitive reader, I have come to understand exactly what a divine feminine or masculine is and what they are not. I am well-rounded, abundant in all the ways that matter, centered on the things that bring real value and beauty into the world. People tend to notice that I'm cooperative and I'm agreeable. I naturally can relate to others and hold conversations that are both polite and meaningful. I don't do small talk. I'm someone you want to have in your corner, at least if you're looking for something authentic. I'm a real one, a rider. I am loyal to a fault, helping, supporting, and defending people who I love and care for, even though it turns out they would not and did not do the same for me. I actually enjoy making people's lives easier or helping in some way. I give good advice. Unfortunately, most that I come across aren't able or willing to look past my youthful appearance and demeanor. They can't imagine that I could know more than they do on a subject because my sweet, genuine nature has me pegged for dumb, or at least inexperienced. But for those select few who would take the wisdom I can offer for what it is and put it to good use, it will elevate or benefit them in some way. I have an ability to see things from a different point of view than most, and I can put together patterns to discern what the best move would be in a scenario. And I am brutally honest just about all the time. Not in a rude or condescending way or like I'm a know-it-all, but I'm the person who will say what needs to be said or what someone needs to hear, even if it is an unpopular decision or if everyone around me disagrees. I'm the one who strangers like to tell their life story to, despite the fact that I did not ask for or necessarily want to hear it. But here's where people tend to get confused. I have two sides of my nature. Not in a shady kind of way. I'm not two-faced like these other individuals. Not at all. Both sides are part of who I am, and they work together seamlessly inside me. I have successfully balanced out my shadow with my light in a healthy, well-rounded way, for the most part. But most people do not even understand what that means or that it's possible. People misread my energy and mistake my character for something else the majority of the time. They look at me and see one thing, and when another side comes out, they're confused. Maybe even threatened. That misunderstanding has repeated throughout my life, unbeknownst to me, and especially so in this karmic situation that's played out with this group that I'm about to talk about. This group, honestly, doesn't even have much in common with each other, besides maybe they all keep these covert contracts where they don't hold each other accountable, don't ask too many questions when they're telling their fabricated and altered versions of events. And, of course, I barely even had anything in common with their fake personas that they present themselves as, if we're going to be honest. On a soul level, we're just not aligned. What actually brings these people together is the way that they operate. Everything is about ego, about defending themselves, about getting ahead. It's the kind of environment where if you can get away with something, you will. They wear these masks of virtue, always trying to position themselves just right, please the right people, say the right things, but it's an act, it's a performance. Underneath, it's about what they can get, not who they really are. And when someone sees through them, or when they get caught, the walls go up, defenses and the claws come out. That's the glue that holds them together. Not genuine connection, not real intimacy. In fact, they seem to bond over the lack of those things. Almost like there's an agreement to never dig too deep, never get too close. If all this sounds cold, that's because it is. These women, and men too, are extremely competitive with each other and others. I see this toxic, performative version of feminine energy everywhere in that group. They've all aligned themselves with people who embody that, and it's shaped how they perform both their masculinity and their femininity. It's all show, no substance. They act out what they think a man or a woman should be instead of living it from the inside. That's the difference between me and them, one of many. My feminine side is something sacred. Theirs is imitation. And now every single person in that group has had their own version of a tower moment with me in their own way. A shock, a reckoning, something that shakes things up. For me, the shock was realizing just how much they gossip, how much is fueled by ego and the need to defend themselves for their childish, cruel, and some of them downright evil behaviors. They drag each other into it too. You agree I'm a good person, right? But the alliances are built on half-truths and evasions. They leave out all the important details, especially about what they did, particularly to me in this story, the Empress, because those details would explain why I responded the way that I did. Denial, projection, logical fallacies, they all play a part. They don't ask questions or challenge each other's stories because they're all after the same thing, validation, not honesty. Someone else to share the blame and the guilt with, or to take it entirely. It's a negative buy-in, if that makes sense. A lowest common denominator kind of connection. They build their bond on a mutual hatred and bitterness. Honestly, the fact that any of these people called someone else two-faced is downright hilarious to me. Everyone in this situation, myself included, has two sides to their nature. For me, it's like a Page of Cups on one hand and a Queen of Swords on the other hand. Page of Cups being sweet, genuine, loving. Queen of Swords, intellectual, cold, calculated. The difference is, my duality is high vibration. Both parts are integrated and real. For this group, it's all about virtue signaling, not actually living it. Their Page of Cups side comes off as a friendly, apologetic, even strategic, meant to lure people in, make them feel safe, but it's not genuine. It's part of the competition, the rivalry for relationships, for validation. I've come to understand that with people like this, which unfortunately seems to be the norm these days, they don't actually see me. They don't actually grasp who I am as a person. They just see what they want to see. I've noticed that when I show up with my usual open-heartedness, my genuine self, which you would call Page of Cups energy, people get the wrong idea. They think that I'm trying to get something out of them, I'm trying to get attention, or I'm being strategic in some way. But honestly, I'm just being me. I'm genuinely kind, curious, a little vulnerable. I like connecting with people. I value real friendship and relationships. But I didn't realize that so many people, especially in this group, see all relationships as a game. There's always a strategy, always some underlying calculation. They're used to being guarded and strategic, very Queen of Swords, but lower vibrational, in reverse. It's like they expect someone else to be as cynical as they are, assuming that every kind gesture must have strings attached. I can see now that this mindset has actually come back to bite them. When they encounter someone like me who leads with genuine energy, they don't trust it. They misinterpret my intentions and they act out in all the wrong ways. That's what led to the chaos we're in now. Now, of course, there's another layer to this, as there always is. My counterpart, my twin flame, kingdom spouse, who for me has been the only one since I met him. I know who he is at a soul level, and if I was with him, it's because I saw something good in him. I saw his soul, I felt the connection, and I had the Most High himself enlighten me and verify repeatedly that this was in fact my divine counterpart. Prior to this, I didn't even believe in such a thing or know that twin flames existed, which made this whole story so much more complicated and messy than I ever could have dreamed of. I value honesty, loyalty, and virtue, and I thought that he was the real thing. What I didn't realize is that he's actually more interested in looking virtuous than actually being virtuous. I didn't realize quite a few things. I didn't understand so much because I simply did not understand that there were people who did the things that all these people do, thought the way that they think, and lived their life in such a manner. I was also not fully aware until recently how much interest there is in me, and I had no idea about. I genuinely just want what's for me, nothing more. But apparently, that makes me stand out even more. I don't see any point in pretending to be someone I'm not. My approach to relationships, romantic, platonic, whatever, has always been about real intimacy, not just surface level connection. I like to be vulnerable, and I want the people in my life to feel safe being vulnerable with me too. But the people around me, especially in this karmic circle, don't know how to do that. So when I showed up as myself, they misread it. They think I was flirting or that I was showing off or trying to get something out of someone. They're so used to people playing games that they can't even imagine someone would actually just be genuine. And when it comes to the men, even when they know on some level that I see them as friends, they still misread my polite nature and openness as being naive or worse, an invitation. It's beyond frustrating. And honestly, it's disrespectful. I've never even been able to have an actual friendship or real connection with a male. Well, not really a female either, if we're going to be honest. But with the men, they will make it awkward by starting to come on to me. I could not grasp why when I'd say, I'm not interested, they wouldn't really think that I meant it. Or when I'd say, I'm not like that, they didn't believe it. Or whatever the case was. Like, I don't do those kind of things if I'm not romantically involved, my heart's not committed, whatever. And they would take that as me just playing hard to get. Like, no, I'm not playing. I really am hard to get. What's really happening is that these men just think they have to try a little harder so they can bypass my boundaries to not do things the right way and instead strategize and try to outsmart me or manipulate me because they assume I'm impressionable or inexperienced or I don't know what I want or whatever it is they assume. But I do know. I've always known. It's just that my way of moving through the world with kindness, openness, and a willingness to be seen isn't something these people are used to. And maybe that's why they don't trust it, or me. I've always assumed that everyone knows how the dance goes when it comes to dating. You meet someone, you're both interested, they ask you out, maybe you see each other a few times. As things progress, you check in, you make sure everyone's comfortable, everybody's on the same page, nobody's crossing boundaries. That's just basic respect, right? I never really thought that I would have to spell it out to anyone. The thing is, I've learned some people see my open-heartedness, my kindness, loyalty, and the genuine love I exhibit, and they totally misinterpret it. They think that I'm stupid, I'm naive, and if they could sway me or catch me off guard, like if they suddenly make a move when we're alone, then maybe they'll get somewhere. They think I don't notice all these strategies, what they're thinking, but I do. They're completely wrong about me. I am not nearly as impressionable as they hope. Not even fucking close. That is their mistake. They completely misunderstand who I am. I pay attention to details that most people don't. I pick up on patterns. I clock everything. Most people could not even begin to imagine how perceptive I can be. My young, playful, and at times spacey or airheaded personality is like natural camouflage to those who are not able to meet me on an energetic level. I don't expose everything that I know, and I don't tell people what I see because I don't feel a need to. That doesn't mean that I didn't pick up on it. And the women in this circle, these karmic feminines, they read my energy as competition. They start convincing themselves I'm making moves on someone they're interested or maybe even already seeing. There's a lot of strategic posturing, some weird rivalry energy, and more than a little projection. They're always on the lookout for a threat, even when there isn't one. What they don't see is that my feminine energy is not toxic or manipulative. I won't pretend that I've never made mistakes or I'm perfect, but I try and handle things with honesty and integrity. That's what makes me different from these games and the drama that these people are so attached to. They're used to getting away with hidden motives and mind games, thinking people will just buy what they're selling. But I see right through it. I see how they use charm and competition, how they try and bait each other, and I chose not to play. The truth is, their toxic patterns become obvious when they're around me. All their schemes and rivalries, none of it can touch me, because I'm not here to compete or manipulate. I'm here to be real, even if that unsettles people who aren't used to it. I could sense it from the start. I could feel the energy before I ever saw through the loaded words and the fake smiles. They thought they were pulling something over on me. Maybe they believed they had something to gain by coming against me, trying to ambush me, or by me finding out about their little alliance. It's almost funny, because anyone who would actually know me would realize that I don't fall for this shit. I don't play games. But these people did not know me at all. A healthy Queen of Swords energy sees right through that shit. But none of these people could have even imagined anything like that. These people wanted me to react in a way that they would have had they been subjected to the same energies they were constantly throwing at me, pushing me over the edge and attacking every aspect of my family, life, relationship, stability, health, finances, and sanity, so that I would act out, and everyone would see that I was a bitch, just like they'd always said. Reactive abuse at its finest. That my kind, genuine nature and who I showed up as in the world were just an act, that I was fake, just like them. In their world, this twisted logic somehow makes sense. They're convinced I'd take the bait. Instead, I just let God handle it. He fights my battles while I stand in my truth. and act as a divine mirror to reflect these people back to themselves. When the truth comes out, this unavoidable tower moment, suddenly all these assumptions about friendship, about virtue, about who everybody really is, go up in smoke. It's jarring. It stings a little. Sure, it hurts. But I stay strong. I don't flinch. I know a win when I see one, even if it comes wrapped in loss. Sometimes the best outcome is realizing the truth early on before you get in any deeper. It did hurt realizing that these people aren't who I thought they were. And they're probably shocked too, because I am not the person that they made up in their heads. There's this tower moment energy laced throughout the entire story and everyone's. In the beginning, we could have all saw potential. Maybe we imagined our future connections differently, but there was potential, whether that's platonic, romantic, business, whatever. I had hoped for genuine relationships, friendships, and a family with stability, love, and support. I didn't understand that none of these people ever wanted any kind of real connection. For some of these people, I was meant to be a lifelong friend, someone who could offer honest guidance, a different perspective, a bit of wisdom when they needed it. I give good, real advice, and I try to come from a place of integrity. Maybe I would have introduced them to people or opportunities that changed their lives. They'll feel the void when I'm gone. They probably already do. And that's part of their tower moment. I have every right to decide who I keep around and when I make that call. Honestly, you shouldn't treat anyone bad, ever, no matter what you think they deserve or what they've done. But if there's anyone who truly deserved kindness and respect and support, it was me. I never harmed anyone, and I never meant to. I wasn't competing. I wasn't scheming. I wasn't interested in drama, and that's the real mirror here. When my true nature shows, and I'm allowed to speak honestly about what happened and who I am, there's no ways for others to outrun the truth about themselves. My shadow is integrated with my light in a balanced way. I am intelligent, I pay attention, and I can explain every decision that I make and back that shit up. My intentions always have been innocent, straightforward, and open-hearted. I feel like the universe or the truth chose me because of that innocence, that pureness, and my dedication to my morals and doing the right thing, even when it's hard. Not because of status or position. Plenty of people can claw their way into positions of power for all kinds of reasons, sleep their way to the top, and these karmics know that better than anyone. But that's not what I'm about. The universe seems to have picked me because I'm genuine, and that's what makes me such a clear mirror for others. If there was ever someone who didn't deserve cruelty or betrayal, it's me. The way I was treated was just fucked up. It was wrong. Plain and simple. When this tower moment hits, the men who wanted something from me, that are used to toxic patterns, and they're used to women who play games, where manipulation and drama get results. But that's not who I am. I know how I should be treated in a relationship. I know what healthy looks like. And when things fall apart and I don't lash out, when I don't stoop to their level, it's like holding up a mirror. Suddenly, they have to look at themselves and realize who's really causing the trouble. That's the thing. When they misread me from the start, they see the Page of Cups, but they miss the Queen of Swords. They underestimate my mind. I'm observant. It does not take much for me to see through a facade. Once I see what's really going on, I cut ties. Decisively, cleanly, and without drama. I don't play games, and I don't have emotional reactions, not in front of people the way that they want me to. The whiplash from that decision leaves them reeling because they're used to people who wear masks and hide pieces of themselves. That's not me. I'm whole, integrated, and clear. When I say a door is closed, I mean it. And then those come up with a new narrative. I'm cold. I'm heartless. I'm calculated. Whatever. They can say what they want. It really doesn't matter. Their opinions are irrelevant. But they don't see what happens behind closed doors. They didn't see all the pain and all the crying and the heartbreak that I had to push through for years. And trust me, that's exactly what they wanted. Not only for me to experience it, but they wanted to see it. And I did not give them that satisfaction. Not at all. Honestly, I'm a sweet person. I'm genuine, collaborative, focused on healthy relationships. It's almost strange how many of these people are scared of me. I don't even think I realized that until recently. But I see why. I'm not afraid to see the truth, and I'm not afraid to act on it. And that's what unsettles them the most. In order for any of this to be made right, this huge mess to even begin to be cleaned up, it would require one thing that these people just don't seem to be able to provide. Honesty. A real willingness to come clean, first with themselves. Because I already know what went down. And if these people want to bridge a gap, they would have to be real. No more trying to control the narrative, no more strategic moves, no more wearing a mask, just honesty. My Queen of Swords energy is my strength. I'm sharp, I'm sincere, and I know what a healthy connection is supposed to look like. It doesn't take much for me to notice when something's off. When I put the pieces together and I realized that things were not unfolding the way that they should, that's when it hit me. these people are fake. They're not who they said they were. That realization on both sides was the real tower moment. For me, it was seeing the truth and refusing to play along. Even though it does sting, it does hurt. It is shocking to see. I had to go through it. I can't do anything about it. I don't become bitter or cruel. What's the point in that? There's a loss. There's a lot of loss. A loss of hope. A loss of innocence. A loss of the path that I thought I was going to walk with the people I believed were decent. I wanted to be respected just as I respect others. But when you're faced with the truth, you don't look away from it. You face it and you move forward with your head held high. There's a huge difference between me and this karmic group, and it's not just about personalities, it's about character. I see how they cluster together, not because they truly connect, but because they share the same ego-driven defenses. They stick close, thinking that there's safety in numbers, especially when it comes to facing the truth about themselves. They believe that ganging up on me would somehow bring me down, which would make them rise up. But the reality is, I'm in a different league. Spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. That's why they felt the need to team up in the first place. And the truth, when it comes out, they retreat into denial, projection, gossip, and half-truths, like they always do. Every time they trade stories about me, they conveniently leave out the crucial details, the strategies, the ambushes, the empathy I showed, the abuse I endured, the way my actions actually made sense. That's what confuses them. I make sense. And they don't know how to reconcile that. They find it shocking. They call me every name in the book besides what I am, a child of God. And they refuse to acknowledge my intelligence or admit that I saw through them. They can't give me credit where it's due. They can't. They can't say, wow, she called me out. Wow, she knew exactly what was going on. They just can't say it. Not even to themselves. Every single one of them, though, has had this moment with me. When they talk about me, it's all surface level. They never say anything real. They play their little games. But deep down, each one knows that they went too far. Every single one knows what they did was out of bounds. It creates this karmic spiral where deep down, each of them knows they've crossed the line. Some part of them realizes that they were wrong. But they look around and see everyone else doing the same thing, so they convince themselves they're justified. That's what their egos crave. Validation, even if it's empty. But these people are not soulmates to each other. They're stuck in the same karmic loop, driven by selfishness and competition. They can't see it, though, because they're too busy trying to outdo one another or get what they want. They're triggered. They have to face themselves, and that's their work to do. They never really understood me because they're too busy thinking they knew who I was and misreading my intentions. All of us in our own ways want to be liked or chosen. The difference is I go about it with integrity. I want to like myself first. I'm not interested in contorting myself to please people if it means losing my sense of virtue or making myself seem to be one way just to please somebody. What's the point of that? It's always going to come out in the end. So these females, they try to put on this act like they too have a divine feminine energy. But for them, it's just a show. They pretend to be sweet or funny when it serves their purpose, but because they're calculating, competitive, and sometimes even vengeful, when they see my magnetic energy, my genuine sweetness, they project their own motives onto me. They call that intelligence, but really, it's just self-delusion. They have to fake and pretend to be who I naturally am. And by me just being around, it shows them and everyone else exactly how much we are not alike. I have this duality too, but it's authentic. My Page of Cups side is healthy. Maybe it comes from my upbringing, or maybe it's just what's expected of me as a woman, sweetness, innocence, not being seen as a leader. That's the story society hands us. But I've made peace with it. I lead with kindness and cooperation because I want people to feel safe with me. If I'm open, genuine, maybe others can let their guard down too. It's not an act, it's who I am. And yes, I know my worth. I could have anyone that I wanted, men or women. But I'm not interested in collecting admirers. I channel my intelligence into building myself, not playing games. The fact that I don't have suitors lining up down the block is not because I could not deploy some of the same sneaky and manipulative games and tactics as these individuals and excel in them. I just feel that it is beneath me, and I have much better uses for my time and energy. The fact that I'm not messy in collecting sexual conquests is a testament to my character, but they don't see that. They assume that when things blow up and I finally have to use my Queen of Swords energy, I'm being two-faced. They don't understand what real integration looks like. When I stand up for myself, it's with clarity and strength. I'm assertive because the situation calls for it, but they'll call it aggression. They mistake my decisiveness for cruelty because they lack self-reflection. What they actually are experiencing is someone who will put up boundaries when they're pushed to that point. Someone who's perceptive, self-aware, intelligent, virtuous, and a natural leader. And unafraid to make hard choices when necessary. Someone willing to stand up for those who are defenseless and stay on the side of the truth, no matter if anyone else is standing there with me or not. That's something worth admiring, honestly. And I can't help to admire myself. I'm not hiding who I am. And I'm definitely not trying to play games or be strategic about how I show up. If someone looks at me and says, I didn't know you had this other side to you, all I would think is, that's a you problem, not a me problem. Like, why haven't you taken the time to really get to know people? Why haven't you learned to read the truth in others to actually build real, genuine relationships and connections? That's a skill that you should have by now in this time in life. I've shown my intellect more than a few times. Maybe it comes out in how quick or witty I am, how I make people laugh, or how I say exactly what I mean in simple, creative ways. Maybe it's in the art I make or being able to take something brutally true about being human and say it in a way that lands, that even a kid could understand. That's real intelligence. And if you can't see it, I have to wonder why you don't recognize what's right in front of you. It reminds me of that saying, a true master can explain anything to a 5-year-old. Simplicity isn't ignorance, it's mastery. I've read about studies where Ivy League grads actually use fewer big words in their research papers than people from other schools. They pick the perfect word where they need it, but mostly they use plain language because the point is to be understood, not to show off. That's how I move through the world. I want to connect, to be clear, to be real. So when people say they never knew how intelligent I was, that I never displayed my intellect, what that really means is that I didn't try and dominate them. I wasn't trying to impress them or intimidate them. I'm not about that. I care about building closeness, about being cooperative and loving. Maybe that's why some people can't recognize my intelligence. They're too busy scrambling for shallow reads on everybody, trying to mold themselves to fit what they think others want, and then acting shocked or betrayed when people turn out to be more complicated than that. I don't show off all my strengths and abilities because I don't want to make people uncomfortable, which now, after this whole experience, is downright laughable. Dimming your light to not make people uncomfortable does not ever turn out good, as is made apparent by this situation. From where I stand, I have shown my mind and my heart. I've shown kindness, openness, and generosity. But these immature, selfish, and ignorant karmic people who took my authenticity and the fact that I showed genuine love and decided that I must be naive, a pushover, or even fake, it's just because they're fake. That's where this competition started. Some of them thought they could ambush me, catch me off guard, get a reaction out of me as if I'd scramble for their approval. Yeah, I could be a people pleaser previously, but not to the point of fighting for a spot in someone's life. There are some people you simply don't want to be chosen by. The ones who lie, sneak, and try to drag you down. If the choice is between earning their respect or keeping my own, I'm picking myself. Every time. That's going to shock them, and honestly, it should. They'll have to sit with what happened, and maybe if they're brave, they'll actually try to unpack it. But I doubt it'd be easy for them. They've lived without morals for so long, they've muddied their own sense of reality. They can't give me credit, and they can't even figure out the real reasons that things are falling apart in their lives, whether it's a relationship or a job or whatever. They're always running scams, always covering up, so when something ends, they're left wondering, did someone finally see the truth about them, or did something unfair just happen to them? They can't even pursue justice properly when they feel like they've been wronged because they're always doing something shady. They always have skeletons in their closet. That's the price that you pay for living without principles. Morality is a kind of technology. It's how you clear your karma, how you keep your life from turning into a shit show. When you don't have it, you end up lost, unable to see what's really going on with no one to trust and no options. Some of these people are in such deep denial they can't even remember what happened clearly. They'll rewrite history in their own heads just to avoid facing who they really are. And all of this was aimed at me, someone who didn't deserve it, who has always been genuine and kind. And now I see all of them for exactly who they are. And I don't want revenge. I want nothing to do with them. They're at another karmic crossroads now. Life is going to make them choose again who they want to be, what kind of energy they want to align with. The red pill or the blue pill? The truth or more lies? Maybe there's already been another big shakeup in their world, or maybe it's about to happen. Either way, I know that I've finally escaped this karmic cycle. I'm not going back. I'm not playing their games. I'm not dimming my light, and I'm not buying into their mess. I'm choosing myself, my peace, and my truth. And if that scares them, maybe it should. Okay, I'm going to end it here. I will catch y'all on the next one. I hope you all got something good out of this. Stay prayed up. God loves you. I love you. And I hope you all have a great day.